Hey there, I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate.
And today we're taking a look at Hydro Soakers by Upsize Fun. We're also lucky enough to sponsor this video today.
In Hydro Soakers, players are going to be battling out in a water gun fight. This is a skirmish game for 2 players in which you will have 3 members on each team with hydro packs on their back, water guns in tow, trying to soak each other. There are several actions you can take on your turn. Let's go ahead and take a look at it down below on the table. Hydro Soakers from Upsize Fun. This is a game in which players are going to have a water gun battle. It is for 2 players, and it is a skirmish game that takes place during maybe, if you're a 90s kid like myself, that you had those giant super soaker guns on a hot summer afternoon. You and your friends just duking it out, trying to soak the other players. So let me show you how this game works. One team with 3 characters will start in one corner of the map, while the other team with their 3 characters will start on that corner of the map. And you've got some tokens put out here. Let me explain what these are. We've got some ball pits that are going to provide some coverage that are just randomly thrown out on the map. You have your refill stations, and these are strategically placed out here by rolling 3 dice. And whatever numbers come up on those dice, you're going to put them with the corresponding spots matching on the board. Once somebody uses one of these refill stations, they are going to be removed off the map. And then when all 3 are removed off the map, you repeat the process of rolling 3 dice to put them back out on the map wherever the dice tell you to do so. And these 2 spots right here, these are going to be buffet tables. This is going to have snacks for you to grab that give you special abilities, such as giving you free movement or extra dice when you are firing your super soaker. And with that being said, let me show you these player boards here. All players are going to get player boards matching their characters. And so you will have 3 of these, 1 for each character. And then you're going to have 6 blue cubes, which represents your water and your super soaker inside your hydro pack. And then there's this area right here for measuring how many hits you've taken. And in the middle is where you are going to place any snacks that you get throughout the course of the game. On your turn, you can do 2 actions. You can do the same action twice. The first action you might do is moving. Now, moving is a little bit different than most games. You are going to move up to 3 spaces, and it can be in a straight line, or one of the movements can be diagonal. But that's it. You can't do all of them diagonal. So for instance, if I'm wanting to try to get closer to the other team down there, I might move 1 space diagonal, and then I have to move 2 spaces either in this direction or 2 spaces this direction. And that's how movement works. Now I could have done 3 in one straight direction. So for my second movement, I might just do 3 in a straight direction. The second thing that you might do on your turn is fire your super soaker. Now, how this works is you have to be within range of another target. And the range is 6 because you have 6 blue dice that you roll whenever you fire your soaker. So we want to be in range, so let's just pretend that this character here happens to be right there. And range is the same as movement. 1 can be diagonal, but the rest have to be in a straight line. So for instance, 1, 2. So that is within range, but because he's 2 spaces away, we take away 2 blue dice and we roll 4. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. And the numbers you get are very important. So if you roll 6s or 5s, those count as hits. And we'll come back to what hits do in a second. 2, 3s, and 4s are all misses. And if you roll a 1, then you get to flip over an event card. Now there's a deck of cards over here, and these are going to have special things that happen to you, such as converting all your 1s, that's what that icon there means, to hits. So that's a good thing because going back to our example here, I could move this 1 over and count it as a hit. But sometimes they're not so good, such as bubblegummed. Place 1 suppression, and I think they're going to change this wording here to soaked, on your character. And so what that means is you have to place one of these on your character. We'll come back to what they do here in just a second. And then sometimes you get additional equipment to put onto that specific character. which this one in particular lets me reduce hits by 1 when defending. Now back to the dice here. When you hit somebody, you are going to take the cubes from your Hydra pack and move them to that defender's hit section. So in this case, we would have 3 if we're counting that 1 as a hit. And when you get 6 hits on a character, they are knocked out. So you want to make sure to not get 6. Now back to our misses. For every miss that you have to discard that number from your Hydra pack. And so, as you can see, I only have 2 cubes left. I might want to visit one of those refill stations if I can. So back to our actions that we might do. The last thing you might do on your turn that costs an action is to remove the suppression or soaked tokens. Whenever you hit somebody, if you hit them for 2 or more damage, they have to take a suppression token or soaked token. And what this does is it limits their number of actions that they can do on their turn. If they have 1 on them, then they can only do 1 action. They can do a second action, which is to remove this off of them. If you have 2 of these on you, however, your whole turn is used by removing both of the soaked tokens off of you. Now, back to our characters over here. When you do hit somebody, not only do they get a soaked token, but they are going to move. You're like hitting them with a fire hose, perhaps, and you're pushing them off their space on the map. And it depends on which angle you're hitting them from. So in this case, if I'm shooting at this character right here and it's at an angle like that, then they are going to move in a diagonal direction in the same direction as my stream that is coming out of my soaker. They're going to move that number of spaces for however many hits that they took. So again, going back, let's say that was 3. So they would go 1, 2, and now there's nowhere else for them to go. And so that's how that works. Now, if they're in a ball pit, that is going to provide them 1 point of protection, and so you lose an additional die when you're attacking somebody in a ball pit. Outside of that, none of the other spaces provide any kind of protection. And that is pretty much the gist of the game. The first player to eliminate all the other players' characters is going to be the winner, and that is how you play Hydro Soakers. All right, we're back, and now we're going to share our thoughts on Hydra Soakers and a little bit of what the gamer and non-gamer thinks of it. Maybe help you decide on whether you should back it or not, as it is on Kickstarter, and you want to make sure to check out that Kickstarter link down below in the description of this video. So first look at this game, Sam. You know, it's got the bright artwork on it, the bright blues and purples, greens and oranges. Really kind of has that 90s nostalgia to it. Really brings out my childhood and hot summers here in Oklahoma of water gun fights. For you, first impressions, what are your thoughts on it?
It's definitely very 90s. I immediately thought of Rugrats and Doug. Definitely brings back those 90 TV shows.
Yeah. For us Americans here,
yeah.
You know, I don't know if that was something that was shown overseas or not, but definitely 90s cartoons here for us. Were you someone who got into water gun fights as a kid?
A couple of times.
Yeah. I had some pretty big super soakers, so this definitely brought me back to those moments. And guys, this was the artwork. You look at it on the board with the different components to it, which this was just a prototype, and I've seen some of the updated components that will be included in that Kickstarter, and I think this is a really cool looking game. Really blew me away, the look, more than anything, just first impressions. And then we opened the box and we got it on the table and we started to play it. And for me, this was an awesome skirmish game. And I'm not one to really go, crazy over skirmish games. They're just kind of ho-hum mostly for me. But I really enjoyed this one. I thought that the action selection, the choices that you had in it, the way the board was laid out, it was very thematic, You can go into the ball pit and get a little bit of protection from that. Your gun is going to run out of water, so you're going to have to go recharge it. You're going to have to fill it back up with water. You can go to the snack table and get some snacks. I thought all of that was really cool. And then the way the attacking worked out with rolling the dice depending on how far away you are, and those dice, obviously are hit or miss, but also can have an event that comes up and that changes some things in the game. I thought it was all really cool. What were your thoughts on it, Sam?
Yeah, I liked it a lot too. I thought it was pretty easy to play, pretty easy to understand. I really liked that the snacks would give you little boost here and there, and just how you played and moved around the board. It was pretty, fun and easy.
Yeah. Now, another highlight that I really wanted to nail down here is that this is, in my opinion, I don't know, Sam, you're the non-gamer, but this was a straightforward, simplistic skirmish game. And a lot of skirmish games, the rules get fiddly, they can be complicated, line of sight, movement. The rule books can be way too big for just a skirmish game. You don't have that here with Hydra Soakers.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that.
So as a non-gamer, is this one that you feel like probably works well with non-gamers?
Yeah, for sure. They make it so much less complicated than some others do.
Yeah, the rule book is very short and simple, straight to the point.
Yeah.
Now that's not to say that this is just a low level, you don't have to really think about what you're doing here kind of game. No, you still got to strategize, and you still got to really map out where you want your people to be, because it is a skirmish game, and as skirmish games go, you are battling just the mind of the other person sitting across from you. Usually in skirmish games, it's not so much about luck, it's about your game plan and going into it kind of like chess a little bit.
Which I think can be a little difficult for non-gamers going in. I think in any kind of game like this, the gamer's going to have a slight foot up just because they're used to thinking in that way. But this was a game that still put you and the gamer on pretty equal playing fields.
I would agree with that. And one thing that I would maybe, use as evidence for that is the way the attacking works with rolling the dice.
Yeah.
You roll however many dice based on how far away you are. So if you want better chances, you need to get closer, which again, thematically, that makes sense. But then rolling those dice, not only can you get hits, but you have misses. And those misses are going to take away from your water. And when you run out of water, you can't get hits.
Yeah.
All that makes sense. And I think it's probably an easier way for a non-gamer to keep up competitive-wise with gamers as far as skirmish games go. So I had a great time with Hydra Soakers. I would like to see maybe some expansions, to expand the player count beyond 2.
Yeah.
That was one thing that I felt like, man, this works really well with 2 players. I would like to know how it works out with 3, 4, or more.
Yeah.
It's such a cool idea. So that's Hydra Soakers. It's on Kickstarter. Make sure to go check it out. Sam, again, you would recommend playing with non-gamers, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, all right. Again, on Kickstarter, go check it out.
Make sure to like and subscribe and push that bell button so you get notifications of all our new content.
All right, I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to bridge the gap between gamers and non-gamers. We'll catch you next time.